Hello everyone. It's my privilege as Chairman Training Committee to welcome IIP Office Bearers, Board of Directors, Chairpersons of various committees, and dear viewers. I warmly welcome you all to IIP Webinar Series, Session 13. We'll quickly go through the webinar guidelines. Your microphone and video has been switched off for the convenience of viewers. You are requested to rename after joining in as per the format. In case of queries, please drop a text at the bottom chat window. The webinar is being recorded for the benefit of our members. Question and answer session will be in the end. Please type your questions in the chat window. We shall try to address your questions. The past webinars which we have been held so far. Let's have a quick look at the ones which we had. In case you have skipped one of them, you can always go to the IIP YouTube channel and have a look at the webinars which are posted over there. Friends, today we have a message from the leaders, Mr. Rajan Shah, who is the founder member of IIP, Chairman Nomination and Advisory Committee, a Board of Director of IIP, and past President of IIP. Let's hear from Rajan Bhai.
Good afternoon, friends from the amusement industry. I would like to thank IIP for giving me this opportunity to express myself before you all. Friends, what I would like to say is that together, let's make a difference to our amusement industry and also to the society at large. The question is, how do we do it? I'll put forth my point of view in three parts. One, the situation as it is today, what we need to do, and what's in it store for us in future, as I think. As far as today's situation is concerned, there is so much of overdose of information on social media, TV, etc., that I presume that all of us, we are all aware of the present situation, so I'll not dwell much upon that. The only thing I would like to touch upon is that whenever such a thing, such a challenging time happens or a pandemic happens, economists have found out to be there are four patterns: V pattern, U pattern, L pattern, or Nike they call it, and W pattern. For those who are not aware, V pattern is where business comes down drastically and goes up drastically. U pattern is something where business comes down drastically, remains at its low for some time, and then goes up. And the L or a Nike pattern is business comes down, but it never goes up back again. It just remains stagnant or marginally go up. And the fourth one is a W pattern, and that is what today the experts say that we are heading for. W pattern means business coming down drastically, going up drastically. Again, there will be a second round of coming down drastically and then going up again. And many people say that the second round may happen anywhere between September 20 to March 2021. And let's be prepared for it. Having understood this, the question is what needs to be done. I would like to approach this situation from a near-term point of view, keeping in mind the new normal that's going to take place. Today, our priority is survival and safety. Survival of the amusement industry families and safety of our guests, which is of paramount importance. And the sea change that's going to happen in business will compel us to think and reflect upon and question every single thing that we do in business. And the first thing that comes to my mind, which experts say, that cash is going to be the king. Corporate veterans, through their historical experiences, have said that during such challenging times, if you want to survive, it's easier to survive if your cash flow is well managed. All decisions that we take from today should be in such a manner that we try to remain cash surplus. And that should be the theme of our revival plan. And with this theme in mind, We need to fight this battle by focusing, as I call it, a 3R principle. One, we need to reboot. We need to reboot with extra energy, extra enthusiasm, and extra vigor. A very high morale is required amongst our people. There has to be a very good goal congruence among the top team. And this comes from communication, understanding, and transparency. Please understand, low morale and disgruntled, unhappy team can never win a war. Please ensure that we avoid this. Being positive is very, very critical for our success. So the first one is reboot. The second one is resolve. Resolve means determination. The results of our resolution will depend on our collective depth of our determination to win the war. Success will depend on how many amusement industry warriors or team or staff are ready to give in their 110%. Our success will depend on our degree of our scale, the pace, and the depth of our determination. The better the determination, the chances of success are very, very high. And so first is reboot, second is resolve, and the third is reimagine. Traditional style of working will not work now. The dynamics of business has been challenging beyond imagination. We need to reimagine, rework on every single thing that we do. Work quickly on implementation of the new safety measures that would be announced, are being announced, and would be announced for our industry shortly. Start thinking out of the box to generate new revenue streams. I've heard people from the industry talking about where they're in the heart of the city, they're tying up with Zomato and Swiggy because their food is good. So they want to see that they get extra revenue out of food. There's somebody I've heard him talking about a driving theater in the parking lot. So these kind of out of box thinking will be required at this place. All parks, whether indoor or outdoor, should think local, as interstate and international tourism will decline and it will decline tremendously. Now this gives us a great opportunity for the local parks. So let's capitalize on that. When it comes to manufacturers of amusement industry equipments and allied services, I think they should think global. There is a huge market out there, but we have to work upon the quality of our products and our services. And together, both the parks and the manufacturers, let's be vocal with the government regarding how to strengthen the industry, regarding our need for industry status, ease of doing business, amongst the other things. Act swiftly on digital technology wherever possible. Bringing down break-even is of paramount importance. Gone are the days with a very high overheads we can work. Bring down the break-even point, convert your fixed cost into variable cost, shift from in-house manufacturing to outsourcing. So friends, in a nutshell, reboot, resolve, and reimagine. By doing this, we'll be converting this adverse situation into a long-term opportunity to build a strong, sustainable, profitable amusement industry. Friends, think beyond coronavirus, think beyond slowdown, think beyond recovery. It's not a question, it's not about our GDP, policies, or economy. It's about our lives, our livelihood. It's about ourselves, our family, our loved ones, and our industry. So together, let's bring back the good times that we once had. They say that all the good things come to an end, and I say that even bad things do have to come to an end. World has seen much bigger calamities than this. Could be World War I, World War II, tsunami, SARS, and as of today, they are all bygones. They have become history. So this COVID-19 will also pass. In fact, the World Economic Forum has said that India has a youth population of 27%, giving a great opportunity for us to become Atmanirbhar. So to conclude, friends, In this lockdown, we all have enough time. Let's roll up our sleeves, take a deep dive, start thinking, planning today. It's a wartime. Entire amusement industry should be on a do or a die mode. The spirit should be very, very high and positive. Finally, I would like to say that there is so much of stress, tension, and worries in this world, be it any gender, any age, any profession, be it at home or at office. And we, as happiness industry, as wellness industry, as amusement industry, if you are able to replace this stress, tension, and worry with fun, joy, and happiness, then I think life will be worth living for. So, friends, together, let's make it happen. Together, once again, let's make people smile. Together, we can create more and more happy moments. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajan Bhai, for a great message to the industry and telling us about the types of fall and recoveries, which is well explained as U, V, L, and W patterns. Hope the audience would take maximum benefit from the words in identifying the stage we are in and taking the recovery path soon, as said, reboot and resolve. Friends, today, before starting the panel discussion, I'd like to share a slide to tell you what the situation is and what our panelists are going to spread the gyan on. Some of you might be aware of that under IIP's banner, we have lot many committees, subcommittees, and groups. On panel today, we have with us panelists from IIP's under 40 group. Before starting up the session for them, I'll just like to brief in just with one slide on what we intend to do. So this was the situation, friends. I'll say as on 20th March, sometime in life, everything goes smoothly. Everything was going smooth at the particular time. Suddenly, what happened on 22nd or 20th of March? This was the scenario. Unexpected things happened. The pencil was broken into two. The business stopped immediately. Now, what we have been doing in past 1.5 to 2 months or 3 months period, and what we tend to do, and what our I'll say under 40 team plans to do or guide us to do is this. The important thing is knowing how to turn problems into opportunities. So today's session, we have with us the panelists. While selecting the topic and during content sharing, I had the opportunity to discuss with these dynamic personalities on various fronts of our industry can touch upon and add revenue sources. We have been running these parks so many years and never got enough time to venture upon on other sources of income or revenues. Today, we all had extra time to think about our shortcomings, opportunities. The younger generation had also been spending time and energy, which they would like to share upon with us. So today we have with us Mr. Ankur Maheshwari, who is Director Modern Techno Projects Private Limited, Mr. Ashwin Dange, Business Head, GRS Fantasy Park Mysuru, Mr. Dhapancha, Arihant Industrial Corporation Limited, Promoter Group, Mr. Tarandeep Singh Chekon, Marketing Director, Kidzania India, and Mr. VGP Premdas, CEO, VGP Universal Kingdom and VGP Marine Kingdom. Over to the panelists. Welcome, Mr. Premdas, Mr. Ankur Maheshwari, Mr. Tarandeep Singh. Hello.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ashwin Dange.
Hey, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon, everyone.
You have to unmute Darpan.
Kindly unmute Darpan, please.
Yeah, hello everyone.
So, friends, we have the 5 panelists with us today. So, without taking much of our time in other discussions, let us jump into the debate or the discussion we're going to have in. The topic today is Creative Revenue Opportunities webinar. So, Let us jump right into the topic of today and understand why the panelists thought about creative revenue generation and the importance of it to the amusement industry. Let us start with Prem.
Thank you, sir. Let me just jump into the question. So, why creative revenue generation? So, difficult times call for creating innovative products that primarily ensure generation of cash flow either now or which can be monetized at a later stage. So, it can also warrant that your vision or mission of the company can be carried forward. For example, I run an aquarium, and our vision is to entertain, educate, and increase awareness about marine life. So whatever products or services that we planned, we kept in mind the vision and then carried forward with that. And also these kind of activities help to keep your team engaged and involved. Even though morale of many companies dipped during the lockdown, we were able to get these ideas to the public. It also helps us to be more lean and flexible, both as a company and as a team. That's it.
Wonderful, Prem. Let's hear from Mr. Dapan.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Hello. I think like we heard in the opening remarks that currently we are undergoing a pandemic, but I would say we are undergoing two pandemics. One is the coronavirus pandemic and other is the information pandemic. And I think what is a bigger problem is the information pandemic because it puts us in a very negative frame of mind. And over the last 2.5 months, all teams have been challenged with something they haven't ever experienced before. I think this puts us in a negative mindset from which we have to come out eventually. In the last 2.5, 3 months, I'm sure all companies, big or small, have worked on their costs. The cost is a known variable. We all know our costs. But what is actually going to help us survive the pandemic is also some additional revenue. Because if the business is hampered for a few months, we need some additional revenue to bolster our company. So that is where this topic comes in as very important. Also, when we say creative revenue generation, I think there are two pieces to it. We talk about creativity as well as we talk about revenue generation. Now, it can be in the idea itself, or it could be in the way we are utilizing our force, sales team, our manufacturing team or other things, our assets, or in some other way, the creativity. But what is important is thinking out of the box to generate additional revenue. And I think that is where our amusement industry, if we work on, we will come out stronger from this pandemic.
Okay. May I hear it from, let's hear it from Mr. Ankur, please.
Hello, everyone. Good to be on the panel. Would like to share some thoughts. I think many of us in this industry are operators, manufacturers, consultants, some are traders, and every organization has fixed cost, which cannot be ignored at all. There are cost of rentals, loans, vendor payments, and most of us here do not have alternate businesses. So from where to generate the additional revenue, from where to generate the revenue to sustain. And unfortunately, the lockdown happened just when the important summer season was about to start. And in lieu of the coming season, many of us also made lots of investments in renovations, new rides, for example, creating additional infra at our outlets in our manufacturing facility, etc., etc. So, I mean, these are exceptional times, and we have to do extraordinary efforts to, survive this. And for this, we have to creatively think for additional opportunities of creating revenues and resources. So we have to do something creatively, without, creating a panic amongst our organization, and we have to do something innovatively to create additional sources of income.
Let's hear it from Taran now.
Thank you, Anuj sir. Good evening, everyone. So I remember when we were discussing this topic on how we can creatively think of more ways, newer ways of getting revenue in the company during all such scenarios which are playing around. And we have a WhatsApp group, of under 40. And people have been pinging day in, day out, sharing ideas, following pages of international, local parks, national parks. And there has been so much positivity. So the entire discussion was, can we think of few ideas, which we've done, or we've seen it, we've read it, and we can share it with the larger group. So that's the basic idea. Some may be adaptable for some of the park operators, manufacturers, and some can be twisted or some would not make sense. So that's the basic idea. The importance is, I don't need to dwell much on that. I think right from Rajiv sir's session on creativity, then even how Dange sir explained us how even we can use finance creatively to drive revenue, save costs, or beat the earlier sessions where we've understood that change is inevitable today. So at times we always face a challenge, people are not ready. They are not willing to accept change. So today we are at a scenario where we don't have an option. So as survival, we have to face this change. And last thing what I would want to submit is for everyone, although it is Gyan, we should remember same bag of tricks, they won't work every time. And that becomes all the more important. So if we are thinking that, we can survive this today or tomorrow by using the same bag of tricks, just juggling them here and bit, that will not work. So that is what we are trying to achieve. What we can do creatively now till we start our business. And then, of course, when the business resumes, what can we do creatively then? Thank you.
Thank you, Taran. Let's move on to Mr. Ashwin Dange for his views on it.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I think this is probably the most important reason for why creative revenue generation at this time. I clearly remember the first month of the lockdown. We were constantly talking about cost cutting. We were talking about, various kinds of reductions and just a generally a very negative discussion. And I remember looking back to myself and being extremely, feeling extremely hopeless and purposeless. I am a person who wakes up very excited in the morning, but unfortunately at that time, I just felt like there was no control in what we were trying to do. We didn't know when things were going to open up. We didn't know how what was going to happen. At about that time, the thought started coming into my head that this is not something that is going to go away anytime soon, right? And so everybody kept saying it's going to be a new world. It's going to be, everything is going to be new and everything is going to be different. I could not understand what that meant. Slowly, I started understanding, saying, this is the time to hustle. This is the time to get back to our entrepreneurial roots. You don't have money as a business, however big a business you are, everybody has got some kind of a cash crunch. So now is the time to kind of dig down, dig your heels deep, look at what are the opportunities that you have and try and make something of this. So my choice at that point was, okay, let's fight. Let's try and keep doing and keep trying and do whatever is possible to stay alive and stay afloat. I think all the members on this panel are people that I have constantly spoken to and constantly been motivated by. Post-COVID also, our parks are not going to be at full capacity. So a lot of things that you do today, even though it might seem creative, might end up becoming a force that will help us get through all of this time. You have to understand that the rupee in this new world, as we call it, is probably equivalent to 10 rupees or 100 rupees from 5-6 months ago. So, and as Prem said, another very important point was we wanted to engage our teams. We wanted to keep our, we have a young team, we have a motivated team. We didn't want to lose them during the time of this pandemic. And as Rajan sir said, reboot, resolve and reimagine. We are in the course of reimagining today. From, let's say, okay, a customer is not going to buy your ticket, to how do we survive this? I personally went from being scared and terrified about the future to being in a state of being brave and excited about the things ahead. So I think that's the reason why we are doing this webinar today, is to be try and create. I know that the guys on the panel, we've been talking about this. I'm sure that there are a lot of others who are doing it as well. Our hope is that through this webinar, we will be able to get more number of people thinking. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you very much for such kind remarks and details. If I summarize the points which the 5 panelists have struck so far, I'll say it is a positive outlook. Think out of the box. Most importantly, generate revenue. Now, let us get to know some of the ideas which they have been able to implement in your business. Can we start up with Ankur, please?
Yes, sir. See, we are essentially manufacturers and also the operators of ICs. So, as manufacturers, I would suggest everyone that consider what resources you have. You can try and do reach out to the countries and customers who were not yours earlier. I mean, which were not in your domain. You can try and reach out to countries which are already open, and you can try and because you can always compete with China and other such countries, and your country would be more favored. Apart from this, you can also think about manufacturing equipment related to COVID-19 situation, because I think that this investment in health, sanitation, and sterilization would increase dramatically in the times to come. And if you have resources, if you have knowledge, you can create create products and solutions around COVID-19 situation. As operators, you can try and pre-sell your tickets. You can do discounts. You can launch your apps if you don't already have. You can engage with your customers, upcoming customers. I mean, you can connect with your customers who you target, but they are not actually your customers as of now. You can connect with your earlier customers, right? So apart from that, if as we are ISCs, we have a number of units. So similar to us, if you have a business similar to us, you can also use your existing network of locations, and you can be a sales office of various other equipment which is not related to amusement but to other industry also, because you have a resource of distribution network. You have a resource in different cities, so you can use that resource and you can try and sell your equipment of other things not related to amusement necessary, right?
Thank you, Ankur. Thank you very much for your details. Let's move on to Ashwin for this.
Thank you, sir. I would like to share my screen at this time.
Yeah, please.
These are some of the ideas that I would like to share. There were a lot of things that we worked on. We are predominantly a water park and we have a snow park as well. So the ideas will be geared around this. Most amusement parks in India have got outdoor spaces, and most of them have got gardens and things like that. Ours has got, we have a large chunk of gardens, and so one of the resources that we have is we have a lot of landscape people in our park. So we kept thinking, okay, what shall we do at this time? Because plants is not like a building, right? You cannot put money into you can put money into a building, get it constructed, and it remains. But a plant you have to nurture, right? Your landscape you have to nurture. You cannot let go because there is a lockdown, because that's something that has been developed over time. So we decided that, okay, how can we monetize this in some way? We spoke to a lot of plant nurseries in Mysore. We got in touch with their owners. I personally spoke to a lot of them. I told them saying, we have space. We've got gardeners. You please tell us which are the plants that you would like, and we will, grow these for you. And incidentally, after that, we have been able to do it. There have been people, experienced guys who came in and said, okay, these are the expensive plants. If you put efforts in this direction, you are going to get returns out of it. So this was a small effort that we took up. Basically, we made a plant nursery. These are some of the photos of the kinds of plants that we've done. So we have a goal today of doing 5,000 plants. And I believe that even post-lockdown, because of the kind of thought process that our guys have now, we will be able to continue to do this effort throughout the year. And this creates an alternate revenue as we look at it. Even if small, if it is able to support my landscape team, then nothing like it. So this is an opportunity that other parks can also explore. Going to the next point, it's COVID-19 and we thought that all our guys should have face shields. So we went out into the market, we spoke to a lot of people and we said, okay, we wanted to buy face shields. There were people who gave us face shields from, let's say, 50 rupees to 150 rupees. Then one thought came, you've got a lot of idle people sitting at the, idle people who are ideally sitting at home and whom we continue to support at this time. Was there something that we could do? So my operations team came up with the idea that we will make face shields at the park. I'm not sure if anybody else has done this, but there were two added benefits. One is, so we had like a entire chain where people were sitting together and of course, we were taking all necessary precautions and we were making face shields at the park. These were the kinds of face shields that we came up with. As you can see, there is a space for them to write their names as well. In a day's time, they were able to make 300 face shields. For example, this is my team who is wearing face shields made by themselves. Now, this I feel at this time is a fabulous effort that the team has put in, and it's nothing. Where the same face shield would cost us 50 rupees outside, we are able to do it at less than 10 rupees today. It might not create a big impact in terms of money and cost and revenues, but in terms of the morale of the team, it's unparalleled. When everybody is sitting at home, if you're able to create an opportunity like this for your team, everybody would like to deliver. I'm sure they will go back home and tell their kids as well, saying, this is what we've been able to do. The other idea was, at our park, we've got F&B as one of the good resources that we had. So the team sat together and said, okay, what can we do about this? We decided that we would open a drive-in restaurant. And then we went out with social media posts such as this. We said, GRS drive-in restaurant, well-trained staff, enjoy from the comfort and safety of your car, large parking space and social distancing, hygienic disposable plates, two-wheelers also allowed with safe distance parking. So this is something that we said, okay, let's try, because we've got enough number of cooks, we've got enough knowledge of how to cook food and how to take care. We've never served a customer. So we said, okay, let's take this up as a challenge. And, these are my own staff who've never served in the past, wearing masks that they have made with the names on the mask. And we have now been able to service customers. You have to understand that this year we made our first billing and our first rupee after 90 days of the financial year. Right? That's why I said even in the beginning, 1 rupee is equal to 100 rupees. For all these last 3 months, we've just been spending money, but the joy that we got from being able to sell, to a customer and to take care of a customer is unparalleled. Also, there were people who came on bikes. We had socially distanced tables where people could sit and send. We came up with digital menus where they scan a QR code and they get a menu. We did all of that, and this was a customer who sent us one of his photos. Another space that we thought would be fun to do would be edutainment. Basically, we've got amusement parks. We looked at, okay, can we somehow impart education to the students? And through that, can we then connect it to one of our rides at the park? So in regards to this, we started something called as Science-a-thon. We did one called Building a Catapult based on one of our rides. We did one more where it was vermicomposting at home. We have vermicomposting at the park. We were able to connect it to that and tell kids saying, please vermicompost at home. And as you see, this is our mascot. We made him look like Einstein and we were able to do it. And the next one was build your own face shield at home. We had approximately 500 registrations per webinar and almost 250 students per webinar took part in this. Then we also started, during this webinar, we started a program called GRS Science Super Kit. We said, okay, how can we connect GRS and kids? How can we do this? So we started GRS Science Super Kit where the parents have to send a WhatsApp message to one of our official numbers, and we create a group, and then these kids go into that group. every time a new experiment comes out, every time a new engagement comes out, we are able to connect with them. So this we felt was another amazing thing. Now I would like to show a small snippet of one of our webinars. During this, what happened was, anyways, you'll see it towards the end. This is based on one of our rights. We wanted to, we wanted kids to build something at home. They were very simple with items available at home. With items available at home. Presentation time, it's present.
We miss you more. Thank you so much.
So there was a lot of fun for us. We were able to do something very fun. We had kids from all over Karnataka take part. We had principals and teachers take part. We had kids from, we had 2 kids who were participating from Qatar as well. And they said, when we come to Mysore, we want to come to GRS Fantasy Park. And so we were also able to communicate all the safety measures that we were taking. And this is something that every park in India can do. You've got your kids base, you've got your students base. You can definitely do something like this. Everybody can do this. Thank you, sir. These were my
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you, Ashwin. It was really wonderful, watching in the slides and the presentation which you did in, the great ideas you shared in. And the best part of it was the kid asking him to come into the park. I loved it. I loved it. And I think all our guests would have nice takeaways from what you have shown in today. Quickly getting into Prem now. I'll like to bring in Prem. Prem, can you share your experience into it?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin. So the first idea I would like to share is about webinars and video games. So any park operator can do, like Ashwin said, edutainment-based, science-based webinars. Or if you have a great mascot, you can develop video games and then have it loaded in the app store, and then you can monetize on that. On the webinar part, the way you can monetize it is by conducting free webinars, then developing obviously a community, and then based on the number of people you have, then you can probably get sponsorship from related TG, target audience companies. So like I've seen a few theme parks getting sponsored by Coke. So that is one way to monetize that. So in specific to what we have done is we've conducted around 5 webinars currently. So ours is a aquarium, and we already had the knowledge of, our team already had the knowledge of knowing about the marine life. So what we had some interactive experiences with the emphasis on conservation of marine species. So what it in turn did is we wanted to create a community. So as you see, Aqua Warriors, wherein like-minded people, pet lovers and kids are formed. And with this community, it actually makes the brand more look like more like a non-profit than a profit. So that's a good space for a business to be in. Even though we are a for-profit organization, this kind of builds up the community, and at a later stage we can either monetize it, or it indirectly brings in footfalls as well. And the next thing that we the next idea was virtually adapt a fish and feed them virtually. So this was another initiative we came across. Anywhere ranging from 500 rupees to 1000 rupees, 10,000 rupees. People can actually sponsor a whole exhibit for 10,000 per month. And so what we do is whoever does the adoption, we give them a certificate and also a video of the feeding that we do, and then with their name on it, and then send it to them. We got a good response from kids as well as pet lovers. And also we are also in talk with corporates for them to sponsor a whole zone. And then once we reopen, we can actually brand that space and then give it to them. And the third thing we are doing is pay now, visit later scheme. So here actually the discount doesn't completely entice the customer to make the purchase decision. You will have to add some value adds. Like if you're a park operator, you can have some value adds like private photo opportunity with your mascot if you have a good mascot, or exclusive access to behind the scenes operations, or exclusive access to the park only to them at a certain time slot. So other people are not there, they get exclusive activity. So in our case, what we did was we gave 50% off, as well as exclusive viewing lounge experience and feeding the fish, which people else can't do. People who generally after post-COVID or pre-COVID, they couldn't enjoy these perks. So this in turn, these perks in turn helped us in generating a good volume of business in that. And the next is also another virtual experience. So this is actually bringing the experience to them. If you're a park, then you have to bring some kind of entertainment to them. So we bringing an aquarium, we bought that whole edutainment experience to them. I'll just play a video. Ashwin, can you the next? Yeah.
Land dwellers, prepare for the launch of our interactive virtual tour that promises to provide a mesmerizing aquarium experience for you and your family at the comfort of your home. Join me, Louie the Blennyfish, as I take you on an edutainment journey, introducing you to all our fishy friends, with content that has been specially curated for all ages. This audio-visual experience will be accessible for anyone in the world to experience. Not only will you learn so much more about the hundreds of species we have here at VGP Marine Kingdom, but you can also ask questions about the fish and test your knowledge.
So it's an edutainment activity. It's actually open not only to local Chennai people, it is open to actually across the world. So and the next virtual experience we have is virtually celebrate your birthday. So virtual birthday celebrations. So park operators can actually think in similar lines of doing virtual birthday packages using their mascots to customized videos wishing the kid or adult by their mascot, and then that's another way that we can monetize. We are doing that successfully. And the last thing that we are doing is the aquarium consultancy. If you see the small tanks, we are starting this since we have that knowledge. We wanted to leverage the knowledge that our internal team had to do this kind of consultancy, where we share knowledge on fish upkeeping as well as sell products. So our marketing team was already there, and we use them to come in. It is more like a trading. So we've also started on this. Yes, sir. That's it from me, sir.
Anuj sir, one point I want to add at this time.
Yeah, please continue.
The idea for our edutainment work at GRS was 100% influenced by the work that Prem did with VGP. So I just want to put it out there. We started much later than them, but the inspiration for it was from what Prem was doing at VGP Marine Kingdom.
Thank you, Ashwin. I say
Wonderful,
lot of
Prem.
inspirations from you as well. Yeah.
Wonderful, Prem and Ashwin, both. That was great watching this video and the jobs which you have already done in Prem. It was really wonderful. Now, let us go to Darpan and see what Darpan has to say about it.
Yeah, thank you. I think very inspired by what Ashwin, Prem and Ankur spoke. I think I was sitting and enjoying myself, and I'm sure the guests are loving it. So in terms of our business, I would say we are structured similar to what Ankur's business seems to be structured. We have manufacturing side as well as we are park operator. So we basically worked on two core concepts. One of them aligning very similar to what Ankur's idea is, that how can we leverage our existing manufacturing setup, which is available with us. So there are so many high quality manufacturers in the amusement industry. We have good process systems and we have a lot of experience dealing with materials. So how can we use the same infrastructure to do something which is need of the hour? And currently, like Ankur said, COVID is the need of the hour. We know it is going to spread and health and sanitization is going to be a big focus area for a lot of people. So we had a similar concept and we started manufacturing using our manufacturing facilities, our design teams to actually make COVID related products for public spaces specifically. So we started off with one product which you see on the screen, which is a COVID testing booth, but then we kept adding products as and when we thought the need is there for those products. On the other side, on the park operating side, we took a little different approach as compared to Ashwin and Prem. And what we did was that we wanted to see if we could leverage experience of existing park owners. So amusement industry has so many parks operating since many, many years. And over the years, their processes and systems and checklists have become so strong that they can manage the parks very easily, even with 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people. So can this experience be leveraged by existing parks to help new park owners learn from it? So our thought process was something similar, and that is why we actually established a training academy for water park owners, not only water park owners, but also the top operational staff, where we talk about different things. So these were the two core ideas we have been working on.
Wonderful, Darpan. Wonderful, Darpan. The bench, I like the bench the most, facing opposite each, the next seat, And next, let us hear it from Taran on what Taran has to say about it now.
Thank you, sir. So all these ideas are wonderful. I'm sure, all of us have been following, again, all the leading parks. I see quite a few parks doing really good stuff for their visitors in such times. What I would like to just bring on this table is how we've tried to revisit our digital assets to help our other stakeholders. So of course, our customers, our fan base, they are important. And there are a lot of brilliant ideas which have been shared. What we try to do is also focus on two other stakeholders. First being the brands. So the business where we are in, brands play a very important role. And I'm sure a lot of parks will also be having brand partners, either paid or through some other form of association. So you can see how you can revisit your digital assets and collaborate with them. And by collaboration, I don't mean just adding a logo and doing the regular posts. So an example, what we do, we have a hashtag @home series. Essentially, this is a social series where every other day, we put in a post where parents are given ideas what they can do with their kids at home. So they have to follow all the basic steps. And we also amplify it by putting it onto a website. Because surprisingly, we still get around 15,000-20,000 visits per month on a website. And so we have a special dedicated page where we again re-emphasize all this information. So we were doing this well, and then we reached out to our brand partners. And with Nestle, we did a very unique amalgamation of the idea. So what is very important is don't make it a forced fit. The idea has to finally merge with what your brand's essence is. So Nestle was doing a campaign called #Badna Zaruri Hai. Okay, again, amidst all this pandemic, आपको बढ़ते रहना है. and they were inviting parents to share their stories with kids. कि उन लोग ने क्या ये दौर में, you know, between all these months, they've learned from their kids and then share the videos. So now that thought fits very well with us. And we were researching all the brands, what they were doing. So we tailor-made a special solution and then we blasted it across our social media. And like everyone is saying, we've not been spending, you know, any monies on social media. But for this, we decided to pour in some monies. And I was pleasantly surprised. We spent, I think, less than 1,000 rupees on all Nestle posts across 4 pages which we own. And we got close to 10 lakh views at an engagement of 8%. Now, this suddenly gave the marketing team new insights. Earlier, when we used to spend much more money, you know, the numbers were not such dynamic. But this time, because we had such less money, we made multiple ad buckets. We had multiple campaigns running. We were A/B monitoring them like, you know, mad. Every half a day, we were monitoring them. So that was also a pleasant insight for us. So how I'm summing this up is revisit your digital assets if you can do something collaborative with your brands. You may even think of a beautiful idea where they would want to invest money. So that would be your call. Second part, again, reaching out to other stakeholders. For all of us, school business is very important. And what we thought is what we can do to get some thought leadership here. So again, we partnered with School News, which is India's leading education company. And they hosted a webinar where we were on the panel. So we just leveraged our relations with them. We were on the panel and finally they did all the marketing. And there were around 1,000 plus teachers who attended the panel discussion. And the other part is, from this we took a cue that why can't we hold something of our own, but get a solid recognized name along with it. So we were being very careful that, you know, let's not just do our brand webinar, education webinar. So we reached out to many players and finally we were lucky. We got through with Pearson's. Pearson's is world's leading learning company. And then we partnered with them. Eventually they've created 8 seminars. 4 have already happened. And we could have our spokesperson, our learning head as the moderator for all the 8 sessions. And all the other panelists have been from different countries. There are 2 from India in the second and the 4th panel. So we've gone to multiple countries and we can even use our global strength. And the complete promotion is being done by them. But obviously we are also amplifying. So I'm sure a lot of you must be doing this. So we've amplified our sales team. They send out private LinkedIn messages, you know, the regular, the WhatsApp, emailers, 2-day reminders, GIFs. So we are trying to get the thought leadership, helping them understand how the education landscape is changing. And I've attended all the 4 panels till now and they've been mind-blowing. The kind of information which is coming in from the prime educationists from around the world will give us a lot of ideas how we can reapproach this business. So that is something which you could try depending on how you look at your school business. Another thing is what we had started a few months ago, just before the unfortunate shutdown happened. We had started one-day workshops for MBA students. And this was purely on the marketing front. So we had curated an actual live a marketer's one-day role play at Kidzania. So that was the workshop which we started. We designed it. It was a good 8-hour workshop. So it had, you know, a city tour, it had an operational tour, it had a behind the scenes, and then they had to do a small assignment. And then it was led by a session with the marketing team. And then they were given real life situations. So we actually, at marketing, we sat down, we chalked out, you know, what are our problem areas? And we thought, let's ask these young guys, you know, because they obviously have much better IQ than us. And this worked very well. So we had 4 sessions. And I'll be happy to share the 4th session, we were able to even get in some money. For the first 3 sessions, 100 kids per batch. Obviously, that was something which we were investing. And we wanted to give it back to the society. For the 4th session, we could make some money. I also hosted another session for TAPME students, Manipal University. So this was an online webinar, and of course here we did not charge, but we've got into an arrangement that in the in the future there will be a visit which will happen with basic costs. So you can again, so this I'm just sharing from our experience. It's not about you doing it exactly the way it is. You can think about what module you can make and have a rigorous course, a one-day course. Then you can reach out to all these institutes. It could be marketing, it could be operations, it could be engineering. Show them what the course structure is. That is what will attract them. Otherwise, for just a workshop, these colleges are also not willing to spend any money. And another global example which I would like to share is in Mexico. So what Kidzania there has done, they've partnered with Lysol. So we all know, all of us know it's going to be all about sanitization as we open. And what they've beautifully done is managed to get collaboration with them, wherein they are obviously going to use Lysol products. At the same time, there is co-op marketing with them. So Lysol also will market, plus we as a brand, Kidzania, will also promote them. So if you're disinfecting with a brand which is good, which is trustworthy, it helps. Then even the general consumer knows just by the word Lysol, okay, that's good. It's not just any blue water what they are using. So that is again a small takeaway. So if you can do that, it could either be cost cutting or it could be a form of a collaboration. And last is something which we've not done, but this just came to me a few days ago, is if one of the parks, the bigger parks, you can have a big fundraiser virtual concert. And what different this will be is, imagine as a wave pool as a backdrop, or your main central park as the backdrop. Because currently we are not in complete lockdown, if there is a live DJ there, just a DJ, there is a small setup which is beautifully done, and then that is finally virtually aired. And you can translate this, make it as a big fundraising event. It will be not a one-off event, it's one big event which can be promoted organically. You can get a big DJ. Again, everything will go through the NGO route. So you can reach out to multiple DJs, multiple artists. I'm sure someone will have their own NGO which they would like to participate with. You can use that. You can then approach brands. A lot of brands I've been seeing internationally, what they do, they don't give you money, but they tell you, okay, whatever money you make in the first hour, we will again sponsor the same amount of money. So this is something which you can look at and own a very big property. Where your park is seen, just the DJ, because it's complete a partial lockdown, you can possibly try this. Otherwise, it may just not work. So that's it from my end. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tarandeep. I think you've all the five people have given us sparks on what to do in, and I'm quite impressed about what you have been doing in. So if I summarize what Ankur, Ashwin, Prem, Darpan, and Taran has said, summarizing in Ankur, I'll say it is utilizing existing distribution. From Ashwin, the takeaways, edutainment and F&B infrastructure. Of course, the nursery part was the best. From Prem, using the community for edutainment and selling early tickets. From Darpan, using operating and manufacturing for education and cover solutions. And for Taran, collaborating with existing corporate relationships and post-opening revenues. Now, from five of you, I would like to know, how did you come to this idea generation process? So let me start with Ankur.
Idea generation essentially depends on a very key question, that what resources you have. So like how I would like to just quote Taran, how Taran said that the strength of their company is to get associated with other brands, other national, global brands. So they realized what the strength is, and that's how they worked in Mexico, right? He gave example of what they've done in Mexico. So similar to us, our strength is manufacturing. Our strength is the number of customers we have. Our strength is the locations we are present, locations where we have our employees, and number of locations. So we thought of utilizing these things and creating revenue sources. So I would just, if you want to just jot it down, you can say that the idea depends on your resources, your capabilities, and most importantly, it depends on how enterprising you are. Again, it needs a lot of study on the short and long-term revenue potential of the products. For example, we are doing products based on COVID situation. So it also depends on the short-term and long-term revenue potential the product could have. So we realized that the current situation would be going to last for a longer time. And this could also create a parallel business for us. So, I mean, the idea depends on these all things. And so we are trying to utilize those things.
May I take it to Ashwin, please, for his views?
Thank you. Thank you. I think what Ankur said was on point in terms of, you have to realize what are your strengths and what are your resources. Early on, I think we realized that our strengths were technology, our people. We have a lot of people, being an amusement park and a water park, and our space. We have a lot of space. So then we started to think about all the opportunities that we could create, capitalizing upon these. What we then did was we had a brainstorming. I mean, I had a set of ideas, but then we got the core team in, we got our leadership team in, and even the marketing and sales team were also there. And we had brainstorming sessions on multiple occasions. We came together, understood the problem statement, dispersed, came up with ideas, came back together, and then shared them. During this process, we came up with a lot of ideas, many more than what we have shared today. But then I had 3 criteria for anything that we were going to do. The first criteria was that we are not going to do anything which requires us to spend money. Right? That was the first point in coming up with implementation. Second point was, I said, whatever we do, we should be able to do even after opening up. I said it should not be something that is so temporary that you do it for the next 15 days and then it gets over with. And then the third and the most important thing, as I said the first question as well, I said the third and most important thing should be, it should be exciting for me and my team. Only then, that's the only reason why we will do it. Because it's, you are doing everything which is different from what you normally do. So might as well do things which you are going to have fun with. The nursery idea, as I said, came up because we have a large landscaping team and we said, how will we use it? The face shield idea came was because, we wanted to engage the team and we wanted to bring a sense of ownership. And another strength of ours was the F&B team. So we said, okay, we run 2 restaurants inside the park. So we said, okay, how can we do this? In regards to that, we've also tied up with Swiggy and Zomato. And I think we're going to go live from tomorrow. And in the case of Science-a-thon, we have great relationships with our schools. So we were looking at, okay, and we don't know once we open up, will the schools come back or not? We wanted some way to communicate to them saying, at GRS, we are safe. We have been taking care of everything. We've been working very hard. We miss you. This is a summertime when we should be looking at your smiling faces, but we've not been able to do that. We want you back as soon as possible. So these are all the kinds of messaging we could give out. So that's how we got about doing it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ashwin, for sharing in that. For idea generation, I'd like to go to Prem now.
Yeah, I think Ankur and Ashwin have mostly covered all the points. So just to add, so what we did as a team was to first, again, identify the asset that we had. So be it space, ambience, even your team member is a asset to you. Outdoor space is one more thing, and your brand name. Actually, you're like a hero in the city. Everyone knows your name, so you can actually be like a trader, sell anything that you want. And of course, we have a good amount of database, kids database, and TG. Your TG is there. So based on your TG, that is your asset. You can sell any product to them. You have a marketing team. You can sell any product to them. So then once you identify the asset, then brainstorm to find alternative use for the asset. You would have got stuck into a conventional way of using a space before. Since we are in the theme park industry, we have to rethink that. So we did that with a lot of brainstorming within our team. And of course, as Ashwin said, the practicality and the feasibility of the idea comes in. The least amount of money has to be spent because everything is uncertain. It's not that it's unknown waters. So as little money as you have, if the idea can be implemented, great. So like write down your assets, brainstorm, come up with ideas, then choose the topmost ideas which is easily practical to implement. And one more thing is hidden talents of your team. So we did a lot of training sessions, regular sessions, Zoom sessions during the lockdown. So we came to know a lot of hidden talents within our team. So we kind of used that to develop the product as well. So yeah, that's it from me, sir.
Wonderful, Prem. You have, I think, well capitalized on the team which you have. Let me go to Darpan for it now.
Yeah, thank you. So I completely agree on starting with identification of asset, but I would like to add one more dimension to it. And what is the motivation behind doing it? You know, like just to quote Simon Sinek, that okay, start with why. In our mind, we have to be very clear whether we are doing it for the short term, we are doing it for the long term. Why are we doing this? And I think once that is clear, then maybe you can figure out what idea you have to pick and how do you want to leverage on it. I think for us, in case of the academy, we wanted to do something which resonates with us. So we were looking for something which we can continue not only right now during COVID times, but also something over a longer period of time. So something that resonates with us. And when the team was actually sitting to brainstorm of what we can leverage. So one of our assets which came up was experience in operating our park. And we used experience to actually brainstorm on ideas of what can be done. But we didn't have a long list of ideas, because as soon as someone tabled the idea for an academy, I think more or less the team was aligned because people really liked that concept. So we did not have a long list, but we went ahead with what we had. And I think we decided to build on the documentation and the processes we had. So that is on the operating side front, the academy front. On the manufacturing front, on the COVID solution side, I think the vision is very clear. It is something which is the need of the hour and something which is required in the shorter term. So we know the COVID cases are going to spread. We know how important health and sanitization is going to be. So what can we do as a manufacturer with all these physical assets? Can we make ventilators? Definitely not. We cannot make ventilators. So what can we do? So we started looking at different metrics, and just to give an example, the testing in India currently is happening at 3.5 tests per 1,000. And at a global level, if you see, it has to increase by a factor of 10. So we knew testing requirement is going to be very huge. Now, what can we do? What are our strengths? So we know, okay, we are good at designing. We know our understanding of material is good. And of course, we have a good manufacturing and distribution setup ready in place. So we thought we'll start with a COVID testing booth. And that's how we came to a COVID testing booth. And from there on, it was more about what other products get aligned to what we can do and just adding it to the bouquet. So it was a fairly simple approach on the solution side.
Wonderful, Darpan. It is capitalizing of resources as well as the infrastructure which you have. So let me go to Taran for his idea on it.
So what we essentially did is, I think, all the panelists have wrapped it up very well. So we brainstormed across our team. What we also got into picture is the operations team was there, the content team was there, multiple sales teams were there. Because like we all know, an idea can sprung up from anywhere. And then we had an Excel, where we had a lot of filters which we had made, because there were multiple ideas. And we gave a lot of importance to most of the points which panelists have said, but giving comfort to the end user, helping them pass time with keeping the brand's essences in mind was most important. That we didn't want any idea which could be, used maybe by, any brand. Koi bhi logo dal de, it may still make sense. So we used to delve a lot into, which among this idea is the most closest to our brand's essence. Because there was so much of overload of information everywhere on the net. So that is a few filters which we had. And one important last filter which we added were possible results. So when even we were quantifying all the ideas, since there were so many ideas, then we tried to check, what could be the result. and we tried to actually put in numbers, in terms of just to see what could the reach be, how well it could help us. And these filters helped us to identify which were the ideas. And of course, all the other things, the team's capability, can we deliver them, were important. And eventually what we learned is we had to still do a lot of A/B testing. So we had to continuously monitor, implement the idea, do the changes as we go live, till we saw exponential growth in that idea.
Wonderful, Taran. So if I summarize the points which the various panelists have said, I'll say probably we need to understand in the facilities we have, what are the capitals which we can use in. We need to identify the people who can, brainstorm for us, or we can brainstorm along with them, and see how we can, do the best possible. We cannot go just blank with the one idea and run over it. So, Taran, I'd like to know from you, how did you market this idea then?
So like I did explain some of the points earlier, that with our at-home series, other than being organically present on social media, we did a lot of A/B testing with the small monies which we had. So other than these monies which we've invested for few of our brand partners, which have been just under 1,000 rupees each, with the full campaign, we've not spent anywhere else, because everybody knows, everybody wants to save monies. So that really helped us. And we even curated a section on the website, since we saw a lot of hits were going there. And then we tweaked even our communication. So we used to tell people, okay, here is today's at-home challenge, which you can do, but you can visit our website to see a list of ongoing challenges. And surprisingly, we've got around, not many, but we still got 20 people who've done those challenges and mailed us. So we know people have visited those pages, and there are some parents who've taken all the effort of not just making it, but even mailing us back. Okay, we've done the challenge. So that is something for the global webinar educational series. Like I explained you, it was marketed across us on our social platforms, and especially by our group sales team, the school sales team. They personally pinged in all the teachers, all the principals across, and we've got close to 1,000 plus Indian teachers on all these 4 panels on average. So that was a big number. We wouldn't say it's been all through us. It could also be a lot of effort which Pearson's has globally, but it helped us reach out to the right number of people.
Wonderful.
With respect to the one-day workshops, the MBA workshops, the marketing team, we reached out to a lot of schools, but what we did is we routed this through our HR department. So we made the entire course structure, everything, and gave it to the HR team. And we thought, this could be a better approach. So then they routed, and we saw more success through that.
Wonderful for that. I'll say about connecting to 1,000 teachers or a few hundred schools is a wonderful job to get in touch with during such times. May I get into Darpan for his views on it?
So I think like Taran said, that the idea is to minimize any cost associated with marketing. In a normal regular practice, marketing always starts with a budget of where you want to do, what things you want to do. It is now reverse. It is now zero budgeting. You try to do whatever is possible in the least amount of money which can be there. So I'll speak a little on the COVID solutions part, that currently, because of so much information going out in the market, people know what is the need of the product. In certain products, you have to try and generate awareness. You have to generate the need for the people to buy into your product. But the space we are in right now with the COVID solutions for public spaces specifically, I think people recognize the need. They know why they need it. So our responsibility as a company is only to be available at places where they are looking. So we don't need to explain them anything. We don't need to explain what are the benefits. They clearly understand that. So I would say the marketing objective is to be present everywhere. What we are doing specifically for this is we have been working with government entities for developing public spaces. We've been working with architects. We have distributors all over India, and we've also been working with schools and other public institutions. So what we've done is we've leveraged the same dealership network and our sales team to just make them aware that, okay, we are doing these products. And what we are seeing is we are getting a decent response proactively. So we are just leveraging basic Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, even WhatsApp statuses. We are spending much on digital marketing agencies, but we have seen positive response even from WhatsApp statuses, wherein when you put your products on WhatsApp, there are people actually looking and pinging you back that we need this. So that's our marketing approach for the COVID solutions. And we are so far seeing positive results.
Wonderful, Darpan, on that. I think with minimal possible financial support, reaching out to the maximum people. So may I take it to Prem for his views on it?
Yes, sir. So this is in these times, this is one of the most important thing. So you have a product, you brainstormed, got a product, but then how do you put it out to the world that you've come up with this with a minimal cost? So ultimately, we want cash flows to come in. So the products, whatever products that we have done, to spread out and come in. So what we did was, instead of standard advertising, we decided to make it more personal and connect with the audience emotionally. So we did a video that spoke candidly on the situation about all the zoos and aquariums that are facing throughout the world. It actually stirred the interest of the public to openly come forward and buy tickets and also adopt our fishes. So this particular video, which was uploaded like 2 weeks back, within 24 hours of it being uploaded in our Facebook page, had like 7,000 views. And currently 2 weeks ago, so it is around 1 lakh odd views. So this is only through this medium, but there are other offline also. It has been circulating through WhatsApp and other forums. So so we got a lot of traction from this video. We emotionally connected with the customers, and it went virally, not within Chennai, but I would say a lot of Indians who are South Indians living in abroad also got it shared from their family. And then a lot of people adopted our fishes from US as well. In fact, we had to have a PayPal link backend to accept dollar payments as well. So that was a kind of response we got. And also with this video, what it done, it got us a lot of PR. That was NDTV, who had come and featured us on innovative ways that aquariums are getting money during the lockdown. And we also leveraged upon our existing database of influencers. So that this particular person is uploaded in May 31st, and it is gathered around 1.6 lakh views, which it also talks about most of the products that we are offering right now, virtual tour and adoption and other things. And also, in fact, we didn't reach out to Mr. Rana Daggubati, the actor of Bahubali, but in fact, he's shared this the link, the FeedMe, the virtual adoption photo creative in his Instagram story. So it went virally, and after a point of time, we just boosted for like around 5,000 rupees, and it has been constantly generating views. And as far as the aquarium consulting thing is concerned, where we sell fish tanks, we did spend a small amount on social media promotion, and as well as through influencers. And we also had our customer care executives go through all the database that we have, and then call and then inform our customers about whatever products that we have done so far. Yeah.
Wonderful, Prem.
Thank you.
Wonderful, Prem. Adopt a fish tank was the best idea, I'll say. I hope we can suggest people to adopt a tree or a plant in our park.
Yes.
So I'll move on to Ashwin for that further.
I think,
Ashwin, your views?
Yeah. So I think, in terms of marketing the idea, we did an amalgam of what everybody's done. We basically pushed messages out on various WhatsApp groups we tried to get into as many WhatsApp groups of teachers as possible. For our school marketing, we've got a large school database. And so our team got personally in touch with the teachers and said, be a part of this. And then we spent a small amount of money on social media campaigns, which were extremely targeted. So that brought us a lot of results as well. Finally, as Prem said, we used our influencer database in over the last, I think the second session of IRP was also on influencer marketing. And at that time also, I had shared the same thing. We have a fair few number of people today who are, influencers of GRS who talk about us and things like that. And there are many pages in Mysore, like on Instagram and Facebook. So even for the drive-in restaurant and for the edutainment sessions, we were able to get out to the public through this. Overall, we've spent very little money, maybe 4,000-5,000 rupees we've spent, but the result has been extremely good. Another thing, in terms of traditional media, what we've done is we got in touch with the leading channel of FM in Mysore. I told them saying, we cannot spend money at this time. We then were able to get on, talking terms, understanding how do we find some synergy. So tomorrow we are going to be conducting an hour's interview at GRS, talking about, how does, I told him saying we've done a lot of work in terms of SOPs and what we're doing, So we're going to do an hour's interview, which is going to be showcased on Saturday all over Mysore. So I feel, and that is free of cost. We told him saying, we'll also get a video done and we'll also promote it on our social media. So at this time, I think we have to find barter in wherever possible. And the basic thought process that I'm seeing now is only if some other business grows, will I grow as well. So similarly, we've been talking to other hotels in Mysore saying, if you get bookings, then we'll give your customers 20% discount and vice versa. That's the only way. No customer will come to one business alone. The entire economy has to lift as a whole, and might as well you be leaders in your own spaces, being one of the social infrastructures of your city. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you for the words. If I summarize the panelists, I'll say we have to be innovative, we have to be low cost, and startup-like ideas. So time running up, so I'll probably take in the last point with the panelist. Challenges faced during implementation of the idea and also shaping the team's mindset. So for that, I'll go to Taran first.
There was no definite challenge which we faced. I'm sure everybody will agree to the fact that all team members were generally kicked out about, doing something. Today, even Rajan sir did explain, how you had to overall ensure that the morale of your team, employees, colleagues is boosted. So keeping all that into mind, generally everybody was more than happy to, contribute to each other's ideas. Rather, we had an interesting case. Our digital lead is a mom of two and two very young kids. And as you would know, she had the major chunk of work to be done. So the other team members in marketing team, especially who look after offline traditional media, they were more than happy to do a lot of, taking all the operational work from her and kind of relieve her to do the major thinking and planning part. So that is something which we collaborated. We ensured everything was transparent from day one across the entire teams, and they were very inclusive. So they always had a sense of ownership. So that is something which worked for us. Other thing which we did and which I would maybe suggest, if I could, to everyone is ensure all your teams are up to date with all the new technologies and learning. So what we did as a very small example is across our team, it was mandatory for them to learn advanced Excel courses. So I gave them few options from where, they could learn them, because I know we use it a lot for analytics, for reports. It was necessary they learned the advanced versions, which they all agreed to. Everybody did it happily. And then we added, you could do any one more additional course, whichever you want of your choice. So that is also something we did to constantly, learn from each other and even upskill ourselves. Thank you.
So I'll take it to Darpan for a quick word on that.
Yeah, thank you. So for us, for us, the biggest challenge while defining the academy program was that we did not have any benchmarks. So I would say that was a big challenge for us, that we did not have any benchmarks. We did not have any standards of what to do. So it was all set up to us, and we had to fall back on our processes and systems to define that what we can do, which is valuable to new park owners and existing, whatever. But I think the bigger challenge is when you start documenting organizational knowledge. You know, there are companies in IFP that are operating parks for many, many years, and there is so-called organizational knowledge that people in the park know what needs to be done. But the person in the park has been working for so many years that processes actually become habit. And if the old person leaves, the new person does not realize why is he doing that? You know, why was the process put there in the first place? So that was the biggest challenge, that when you sit and try to document all your habits, all your processes, the key was, the challenging part was to actually question why that process was put in the first place. You know, is it relevant now? Is it not relevant in today's world? So that was a challenge. And in terms of the COVID solutions kit, I think the challenge was more about getting things done remotely, because in the lockdown, we had people working from home. We did not have offices open. And the challenge was to actually get those prototypes up and running so that we can bring them to the market. And I think that was more related to the permissions and the local authorities, which could be very specific to us or other businesses also. Thank you.
So may I go quickly for a quick word from Prem?
Yes, sir. So cost implications were limiting the scope of the project. So obviously, so we have a product, and then so if you're doing a virtual tour or virtual experience, you have to develop your website, start accepting payments. In fact, the animation we did, the video, it was actually done in-house. So this is where you have to use your goodwill and network and get things done at a lower cost. And another thing is acceptance of the idea. So you never know what kind of sale or product, if you have like 3-4 products, which idea would be your money puller. And another thing is the sales process. So we are very used to selling tickets at the counter. Regular ticketing process is there, but this is completely new. Accepting payments online and delivering the virtual experience or physical product, it is a completely new thing for the team. So that had to be maneuvered. And the next challenge was sourcing the right partner and the right product. So if in case of trading, so the right price, you have to get the right price and then sell it at the correct price. So that is also another challenge that we face. Another thing is staying consistent with your product. So if you have like 5-6 ideas, 3 may generate more, and then the rest may not generate as much as required. But consistency, what we felt was staying consistent to the product. On a later on stage, it impacted sales. It also brought in sales. That's it from me, sir. Yeah.
Quick word from Ashwin, please.
Yeah, I'll just take a minute. I think the biggest issue at this time was uncertainty. Not knowing if what you're trying to do will work or not work. Basically, pure entrepreneurship. Another thing that I realized was early on that we were trying to do too many things. Then we started to narrow down on things which we felt would give maximum traction. When it comes to the mindset of our people, it was extremely easy. Everyone is enjoying what they're doing. I have not seen so much motivation in the organization for a really long time. There's complete ownership of our people. Everybody is taking it up in their own stride. So that's the takeaway from me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwin. If I summarize from all the 5 panelists, underlining that new thinking and revenue doesn't come easily. I'm sure some of the mindset and behavioral changes we have been kind of forced on us will not only help us in short term, but also in long term. So as the time is running up, I'll just take a quick and a rapid fire ideas you want to implement in the future from Ashwin.
I think some of the ideas that we want to do is, one is we want to think of doing a drive-in theater. Then we want to come up with a paid edutainment center for engineering students, where, you know, it's a 7-day course where we go about talking about the back-end work of a snow park, of a water park, let's say of a STP, and also talk about business and entrepreneurship. So these are a couple of points that we feel very strongly about.
From Prem?
Yes, sir. So private dining experience. in the aquarium, under the sea private dining experience, and in the theme park, poolside dining experience in front of the wave pool where the ambience is nice. And the second thing, bring drive-in theater and also drive-in concert, like Tarandeep was saying. Drive-in concept is also what we have in mind for the future.
What about you, Darpan?
So we'd like to utilize our F&B team at the park to actually serve the industrial kitchens. So we already started serving our own factories, and now we want to expand it to other industrial kitchens.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite some other members from the IP Under 40 team. So may I request to kindly switch on AV for Mr. Shantanu, please. Mr. Shantanu is there?
Yes, he is there, sir.
Yeah, please switch on.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Shantanu.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes,
Can you
hello,
just
sir.
quickly share in some idea about what is your takeaway on this?
Yeah. First of all, good panel discussion by Ashwin, Darpan, Prem, Tarandeep, and Ankur. It was very informative. The thing we started in our park last year was the flower pastry. So we converted our rides, our existing structures into a beautiful flower garden, as you can see in the pictures. So we collaborated with garden staff of our, and then we planted all around 50,000 pots.
I think there's some audio issue with the.
Yeah, just a minute.
Switch off your video.
Yeah, just. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay now. Please continue.
Yeah. So we planted over 5 lakh natural flowers housed in around 2 lakh pots of different shapes and sizes. So we, I guess, Ashwin, can you show another picture which I have shared?
These are the only
If
pictures
possible.
we have.
Okay. So we housed around 2 lakh pots of different shapes and sizes in our rides, which we did it in the winter season. So which is the actual blooming period of the flowers. So it was like a second peak season for us, which was a huge success. Some of our members from Mumbai also visited us, and even they have seen it. So this could be a game-changing idea into water park business by converting our rides into forms of flower pot series, which can be utilized in the off-season of winter season.
Thank you, Shantanu. It looks beautiful and it's a great idea
Thank you,
indeed.
sir.
May I request to switch on AV for Mr. Abhishek, please? Are we connected to Mr. Abhishek?
Hi, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please, Abhishek.
Yes. First of all, I'd just like to begin with my heartiest congratulations to everyone on the panel. I've had the privilege of working with everyone on the IIP Under 40 group and had discussions with them, so I can vouch for their creative as well as their marketing skills. The idea that we have for our park, which is still in the planning phase as of now, and it's very close to what has already been discussed today. It's based on the idea that we are currently in a survival phase, and at some point of time, hopefully by the end of next month or so, or whenever the time frame allows, we will start entering a recovery phase where we start making up for the setbacks and the losses that we've incurred this season. Now, the idea mostly revolves around live events because a lot of us that are park owners have the luxury of having open spaces with uninterrupted view lines as well as large capacities for people. So what I had in mind was a mixture between online and offline events where, like Tarun had earlier mentioned in his points, you get a local artist or a DJ and you have their setup in an open air zone, you have a small crowd while maintaining social distancing norms. You have that live event, and while at the same time you live stream it on your park's page as well as in the artist page. This gives you multiple advantages. First of all, you get to tap into the local artist base, as Ashwin had mentioned earlier in his influencer marketing webinar. Reaching out to artists and their respective fan pages, their fan base, is very important if you're a park operator or anywhere in the amusement or entertainment industry, because by sheer numbers you stand to benefit. Second, this lets your park staff know that they're ready for business. It starts getting your staff into order, because right now a lot of us have bare bones staff in our parks. It's just for maintenance, for horticulture, for general works. To get them back into the swing of things, I think small events like these could really boost morale for our employees. And the third thing, the most important thing, is that by doing such small scale events while maintaining social distancing norms, while properly and regularly sanitizing, you will start spreading the word, the idea by word of mouth to your audience, and through them to your larger target audience, that your park and your IAC is open and ready for business. That, I think, does a tremendous job, probably more than any news article or any small video that you make. Because if I, as a potential customer, come to your small event, this live social distancing night, if you want to call it, I come there and I see that the park is holding up a certain standard of safety, of security, of social distancing, sanitization. That makes a massive impact, and that I would be more than happy to spread the word for. So yeah, I think a mixture between online and offline events would be wonderful to start off our recovery phase. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you very much for your kind words. Can we have online Mr. Utkarsh, please? AV of Mr. Utkarsh to be.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Please continue, sir.
Right. So all this discussion is possible only because of the IRP Newgen group. Everyone started this discussion and we tried of brainstorming together, and all these wonderful ideas came. So I have shared the link for joining the WhatsApp group. If you're under 40 and you're passionate about the industry, you too can join and get benefit from the WhatsApp group. And so I also wanted to add quick points about the revenue options. So I'm personally passionate about parks for education. So basically they are the behind the scenes educational tours and digital courses, and something like a training institute, which about which the panelists have already shared some information on. I wanted to share some more information about that. So it is like all our parks are having whatever manpower or equipment from which these students can learn from. They are engineering and hotel management or MBA students. All of them can actually have a very rich learning experience from our parks. Could be through visits like any industrial visit to our parks, as well as for as a digital course, digital learning platform as well. So I want to give a quick case study, that is quality content worth paying for. So this particular path is not new. Disney people have already pioneered in that. So they conduct these behind the scenes tours where they give a idea about how the park works, what are the technicalities in it for different subjects. So actually they earn good amount. So the behind the scenes tours for Disney parks can be from 50 USD as an add-on to their ticket, from 50 USD till 100 USD, 500 USD, based on the subject that is covered in the behind the scenes tour. And the same with their Disney Institute. There is a Disney Institute where they can teach corporates live inside the park how they right from management, F&B, operations, logistics, and even technical subjects. So those courses are at like 1000 USD, 1200 USD. So that's a good source of just the only part is you have to create a content that is worth paying for, and you can already leverage on your team, right? So you have all the experienced people. You have maybe like you have indoor auditoriums for hosting such venues. You have the F&B ready, and most importantly, you have the experienced people with all this technical knowledge that they can share from a range of disciplines, engineering, MBA, and hotel management, and many others, right? So I think you should consider this Parks for educational revenue source as a long-term business, as a one more thing which can add. So that's from my side. I think you should. Yeah, and I want to just give one more case study that you can observe. There is a course called Imagineering Inside a Box, which is free, which tells about the behind the scenes of Disney, but that is free. And there is one more course called the Imagineering Story, which is live in Disney Plus, but that is like a premium. So you can understand not even the Disney Plus VIP membership, but it needs a premium membership to see it. So you can understand the amount of quality that is behind it. So the same thing can be done with your parks as well, and you can leverage on your teams, and do consider Parks for Education. It's worth giving a try, and it will definitely help you in long term. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Utkarsh. Thank you very much for the great idea. I think we have already over the time, so I'll not be able to take any of the questions today. Any question from the guest for the panelists may kindly be sent in by mail or by WhatsApp group to IFP, and we'll see what best can be done to get back the replies from the under 40 group. So with that, I'd like to end up the session here, and would request everybody to kindly fill in the feedback form for today's session. Everybody to kindly fill in the form, please. So friends, the up next session, we have a session on 22nd of June, that is the next Monday, a session on POSH, that is prevention of sexual harassment. The session speaker is Ms. Venu Kakkar. She's from Linking Free. And with that, I'd like to thank all the panelists today. Special thanks to Ashwin, Prem Das, Darpan, Ankur Maheshwari, and also to Tarandeep. So friends, it is solely because of your interest and participation that the webinar series was conducted and attract such high numbers and has become a useful platform where ideas, knowledge, and experience are being shared. We had great ideas and great knowledge. I'll use the word now for Ashwin especially, the word Gyan, which you have given to us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you, Darpan. Thank you, Tarandeep. Thank you, everyone, for participating in and being with us. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
A lot of fun. Very motivating as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.